Trump supporters at CPAC still upset at Fox News. Fox News, is it still hurting in the ratings? It was having a tough go of it. Bad. Wonder if they've recovered.
They might still be doing some musical chairs over there.
Here is
At 7 o'clock hour, yeah.
A Trump supporter.
Do you still watch
my
Fox
God.
News?
I do not watch Fox News. Only Tucker
Several
Carlson
Trump supporters.
and Laura Ingraham.
Why is that?
Because Fox News sold out. They sold out to the globalists. They sold out to the China-owned advertisers. And I definitely do not respect Fox News anymore. I like Fox Nation. They're doing okay.
I don't think they've been supportive of the truth.
I've stopped watching all news since the election.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's depressing and makes me angry.
Fox, CNN, MSNBC,
No.
they're all the same. They're all suppressing the truth for this country.
I like Jesse Waters.
Jesse Waters.
Yeah, I think he's great. And Sean Hannity's good. I like Sean Hannity good. He's been backing the president 100%.
Depends on what show.
What shows you like?
Tucker, Hannity, but it's mainly it was the election night, like the people behind the scenes that were screwing things over.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Tucker, it wasn't Hannity, so I'm finally still watching them.
I'm not a huge Fox fan,
Okay.
but just some of the personalities. What Fox did on the election, so a lot of us feel that was they betrayed us as well. So I know that a lot of them just abandoned Fox completely.
I would come back to Fox. No, I probably wouldn't. Not full time.
Oh my God.
Not really.
The
I like
election?
to watch Tucker and I'll catch a few minutes of Hannity and Laura Ingraham for about a few minutes. And then I've been choosing Newsmax and OAN for my source
Really?
of information, and the Epic Times.
Tucker Carlson, he drives the liberals mad.
I want to forgive them. I want them to right the wrongs and stop trashing Trump and get behind the America first.
I know there are some conservatives that want to burn FNC in effigy and think, oh God, they've all become a bunch of raving leftists. No, they haven't, okay? I'm secure enough in my beliefs that I can handle hearing someone who disagrees with me. If we're going to attack liberals for constantly being triggered by everything, which they are, I don't want to see conservatives triggered either.
It's a beautiful hat.
That is. I mean, first off, I think the idea that they watch that stuff to trigger the libs and to own the libs is underrepresented there, I would say. But it's fascinating, their perspective on what their news is supposed to do. I mean, there was are they still doing like we report, you decide? That's not been a logo for a long time. Like the idea, they are basically just, we want cheerleaders, period. It really is just.
And then they conflate it. And then they conflate it with, that being real.
Right. Well, what's weird about this is CPAC. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever covered CPAC before. It's got like it's a distinctly different vibe right now. Like, this is not the CPAC from a few years ago. It's goofy. It's Trumpian. It's Trump. It's Trump's party now. I mean, I don't know if the Never Trumpers just didn't go to CPAC or if it's just transforming. I
mean, I think, Trump's like won the straw poll, but he only won it for like 65% or something.
Interesting.
And I will tell you this, like, I remember CPAC in 2006. I didn't go, but I remember, just following it through reporters. And I paid a lot more attention, I think, probably to it back in the day. But there was a strong contingency of people who felt that George W. Bush was not significantly conservative.
Yeah.
Because of his spending and this and that. Like, underneath, I think the supposed principles they had, they were always like this. It was always about owning the libs and triggering the libs and whatnot. There was a veneer, and sometimes that veneer was a couple millimeters thicker than for other people. But ultimately, I mean, I think we've shown, not we, I mean, society, I mean, they have shown that their set of principles were really just, I mean, there was no principles. I mean, it was really just own the libs, and it was all sort of like culture. And I will, say, like, I do remember, you get into like 2009, maybe it was, and that was the next iteration. I mean, it was there, but it was more, they went from like waging a culture war, right? I mean, like, Buchanan was talking about this in 93.
Right.
Maybe they were always there, but their understanding of the meta of it, like, sort of culminated with Breitbart, who was like, the politics are all downstream from culture.
Right.
And Breitbart, whereas Buchanan would say we're involved in a culture war in 93, but he was trying to convince people that their politics was, that there's also this culture war that is impacting the politics. But Breitbart had no policy. Like, you could ask.
This is it. It's like a conspiratorial aspect to it.
I mean, it was exclusively culture. Like, I mean, I would have exchanges with Breitbart. He had no policy. He bragged about having no policy preference. He didn't care. For him, it was all cultural. I mean, there was not, it wasn't like the cultural implications of your policies. It was like, policies are downstream from culture. It's just culture, period. And
he admittedly didn't really stick to even the culture stuff. Like, when you went to him one-on-one, you called him out. He was like, yeah, it's a business. He was extremely transparent off screen with what he was doing. But I mean, now I think like the how Breitbart utilize the media. I mean, it's not just culture now, it's conspiracy and culture. Like, Emma, you've been to Trump rallies, and if they see you with a camera, I mean, it's not just like they say, don't trust them, they're the media. They start to surround you like a mob. It's extremely, it's scary. It's a very scary feeling that I don't feel like
one a week, baby. One a week for like 4 months. It was a fun time.
I mean, it's a dangerous time. And like, remember when Michelle Fields got attacked and that made all the news? I mean, that was sort of the beginning of seeing what this could lead to. But like, if Biden doesn't see that, that's what I'm concerned about. His inability to understand, on one hand, just how much people are paying attention, but on the other hand, how this conservative, you barely squeaked by, and this is not going away. And what are you going to do about it? How do you make sure? How do you fight the media wars? How do you take on the big tech companies that are facilitating this? I mean, I think this is much bigger than just culture. It's a conspiracy ridden movement that's growing, and it's not organic.
Well, the biggest impediment to Biden pursuing any agenda that would sort of like provide stuff on a separate track is frankly the conservative Democrats, right? Is a couple of Democrats, and his own unwillingness to take steps to, in any way impinge upon the traditions of the Senate. But since we're talking about the cultural battles, like, and it's all going to be like the next year, every time you hear something from conservatives, it's going to be all about cancel culture. I mean, this is just going to be relentless.
Political correctness 2.0.
Exactly.